Welcome, everyone, to the North Peninsula Democratic Club Candidates Forum of September 12, 2015. This is relative to the San Mateo County general election on Tuesday, November 3rd. North Peninsula Democratic Club was chartered by the San Mateo County Democratic Central Committee on May 17, 2007. We proudly serve Democrats in and around the cities of Brisbane, Daly City, Colma, South San Francisco, San Bruno, Millbrae, Burlingame, and Hillsborough. Democrats who are candidates in each service area in which there is a contested race were invited to participate in the Candidates Forum. 8 of 9 agencies and 15 candidates responded. For general information and to become a member, you can contact the North Peninsula Democratic Club, P.O. Box 399, Millbrae, California, or you can email me, marge4millbrae@att.net. We're always happy to welcome Democrats as renewing and new members. There are a few acknowledgments that I would like to make. First, to the North Peninsula Democratic Club Board of Directors, Pamela D. Givionini, Vice President, Sam Manis, Secretary, Ann Schneider, Treasurer, Sandra Lang, who is a founding member and an ex officio member. Our forum subcommittee for today consisted of Pamela D. Givionini, Sandra Lang, Robert Bernardo, and Vaughn Jones. We're very grateful to the Transport Workers Union of America, AFL-CIO Local 505, Mike Mays, President, Jennifer Platt, Vice President, Marcy Bruins, Financial Treasurer, for the use of their hall today. Millbrae Community Television is recording all of the forums. We thank their board of directors, also their general manager, Andy Pittman, and today's producers are Aaron Fellers and Andy Chan. The candidates' forums may be viewed on demand beginning at 12 noon on Friday, September 16th at www.mctv.tv. You can click on the Watch menu for a list of 8 separate videos, one for each candidate's race. You may watch your own interview or as many others that you wish. You may also search on YouTube for North Peninsula Democratic Candidates Forum 2015. You may also post a link to your YouTube interview on your campaign website if you wish to do so. And now I'll introduce our moderator, the Honorable Gene Mullen, Assemblyman, former District 19, and he'll go through the process with you.
All right, thank you, Marge. The speaker immediately prior to me is Marge Colapietro. She is the president of the North Peninsula Democratic Club and a current councilwoman in the city of Millbrae. Thank you, Marge, for that introduction. This is our 4th forum of the day. Previously, we've heard from council candidates in Brisbane, Millbrae, and San Bruno. Now we're moving into the educational field, the first of several school board races which are taking place in November. This is the 2 candidates, Marc Friedman and Greg Land. They are vying for a position on the San Mateo Union High School District. The process we're going to follow is each one of you will be given a 1-minute period of time for an opening statement. We'll have 3 questions that will be posed to both of you alternating. Those 3 questions were presented to me this morning. I'd not seen them prior to 9 o'clock today or so. I've read them since then, of course. So each one of you will have an opportunity to respond to those 3 questions. If you desire to have a rebuttal, just make a motion of some type and we'll acknowledge that. And after the 3 preordained questions, we'll ask the audience if they have any additional questions. 2 additional questions Same thing, 1 minute to respond, and if you want to rebut, you have 45 seconds. And then we'll give you an opportunity to have a closing statement for 1 minute as well. And so we'll begin, and I'm going to ask Marc Friedman to be to give his opening statement, and you have 1 minute. Welcome.
Thank you. And I want to thank the North Peninsula Democratic Club for organizing this forum. It has been my honor to serve on the board the last 4 years, including the last year as president. We have accomplished a lot. Academically, our schools have never been better. They have higher test scores and graduation rates. Our district and individual schools have been recognized with high ratings from different organizations, including being the top-ranked district in San Mateo County by niche rankings, having 3 schools in the Newsweek's rankings of the top 250 public high schools out of 27,000 public high schools, included Mills High School in the North Peninsula, and 2 schools being recognized as gold ribbon schools. Financially, we are strong, we have a healthy reserve, and nearing completion of our decade-plus $700 million capital improvement program that has rebuilt all of our facilities within budget. We have more to do. We need to complete implementation of Common Core in our curriculum. We have to make sure we spend our final capital dollars wisely and complete the few remaining projects. That's why I asked for your vote for my reelection, and I want to add that I'm also supporting my friend and colleague and fellow Democrat, Mr. Land, Greg Land.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for that statement and endorsement as well. Mr. Land, you have now 1 minute and to give your opening statement.
Thank you. I also would like to thank the North Peninsula Democratic Club as well for putting this on, and thank you for letting me be here. I'd like to talk a little bit about my experience. I'm an educator. I've been a teacher in East Los Angeles. I've been a teacher in Redwood City. I've been a vice principal, a principal. So education has been my entire career. I've also been, for the last 10 years, part of the Burlingame School District, which Marc was part of, and which is why I'm proud to support him just as much as he's proud to endorse me as well. I think my motivation is my daughter, who's in high school, but also all kids, to give them the best education possible. You heard from Marc that things are doing very well, but I'd like to see innovation as well. I'd like to see us do even more, and with my educational experience, I would like to add that to the current board, and I think they need an educational expert to be in there. I also think that we need to work with the communities and outreach. I think one of the things that Common Core really talks about is real-world connections, and we need to tie our communities to our school district as well, and I'd like to see that happen. Thank you.
All right, thank you for those statements. The first of the 3 questions, and this we'll start with Mr. Land, and I think both of you addressed this a little bit in your opening statement. What is the top issue facing your district, and how would you address it? Mr. Land?
For me, I think the top issue would be about innovation and really the most innovative kind of education we can have. I think there's a lot of good things going on in the school districts, in the high schools, but I'd like to see, in my district in Los Altos, where I'm a principal, we do this thing called revolutionizing learning. I'd like to see that kind of revolutionizing learning. And I think they're starting to do that, but I think we need to do more. So that, to me, is one of the top issues.
All right, and Mr. Friedman?
Basically in agreement with Mr. Land. I would go a little further, or to be a little more specific about what is needed. It's the implementation of Common Core, which involves what Greg was talking about. As we implement Common Core, we are moving away from just a test-based way of evaluating students and making sure students actually learn, and they learn based upon certain standards. And that's the challenge going forward. And it will be a challenge to teach that way, help students learn in that method, and it will involve innovation and other ways of improving our instructional abilities.
All right, thank you. No rebuttal? I don't think so. All right.
I'm in agreement, except one rebuttal I would add is we're talking about student learning, and I think it's a shift, especially with Common Core, that you're talking about student learning rather than teaching. And we've been really focused in so many years on the traditional method of what teaching looks like, but we need to talk about what learning looks like.
Okay, thank you. more of a concurrence than a rebuttal, but I agree with that. For the first time in its 113-year history, your school district has a majority of Latino students. 659 are Latino, 337 are Asian and Pacific Islander, 307 are white, and 19 are African American students. Please share your thoughts, and this, by the way, this demographic shift is throughout the state and throughout the county as well. Please share your thoughts about how to best address parental engagement as it relates to the growing demographic diversity within your district. So the focus on parental engagement. Mr. Friedman, I think.
Yeah, I think your statistics, we don't have them, are not for the whole district. That sounds like it was for Cappuccino High School.
The numbers would add up to cap exactly.
And so it sounds like it's for San Bruno. Just as a clarification, as a district, we're roughly 30%, all our schools, 30% Caucasian, 30% Latino Hispanic, and about 30% Asian if you include Filipinos as Asian,
right,
which is not necessarily there.
Given that, and I thank you for the clarification.
But she's running my clock on that.
No, that's right. We're gonna start the clock again because that's a clarification of the question. So we'll begin the clock again. The question is parental engagement,
right,
as it tends to decline as the number of majority students increase in districts. So that's the focus of the question.
Well, we put in a lot of, we have a lot of interventions, and that might not be the best word, a lot of activities to try to encourage parental engagement. We have something called a DLAC committee, which tries to get parents in the community, and it's aimed at second language speakers, which many tend to be Hispanic, and we've worked very hard to get that involved. We've grown those committees, and we've also brought in, increased our student support and so forth. And you need to work to bring parents in. You just need to communicate is the basic thing, and make sure parents feel the campus is open to them, and that's what I would encourage us to do. And we have done that at CAP, and we do that at all our schools.
All right, thank you, Mr. Friedman. Mr. Land, principal at Los Altos, you have a lot of parent involvement. How do you replicate that in the high school district?
So I was actually going to take some of my experience in Redwood City because I was the principal of Hoover School, which is almost 95% Latino and at risk. And the one thing that we used there was a community school environment where we used partnerships to get services at the school so that more parents would be coming to our school. And as a result, we had much more parent participation. I think it's increased 2-3-fold at Hoover. I think that's the key, is to really, you have to reach out to the community. I think that's one of my important points why I'm running is I'd like to see the school board and the school district outreach to the community more. I think they let people come to them, and I think that we need to see more outreach happen. ELAC committees are great, DLAC committees are great, but you have to really have events that parents want to be at, and you've got to provide that time. And as a principal, I've been using that technique for quite a while to get more Latinos, more English learner parents to come in and participate. And you have to have language. You have to have bilingual. You have to outreach to their language, not just in English.
Great. Does the district do bilingual communication with the parents? Is that standard?
We do multiple lingual. we have a lot of Spanish. We also do a lot of in Chinese and Mandarin. If you look at the Mills website in Millbrae, you'll see that. You want to add something?
Oh, I was just going to say, one of the things that they do have is a great communication tool called School Messenger, where they can do phone calls, robocalls is what I call them. But it would be great to see that in multiple languages as well. And that was something I would add.
Yeah, I went off script. Sorry about that. Sometimes you just can't help yourself. When the new superintendent was hired, his contract showed an annual base salary of $275,000 for 225 days of service. This created some concern among parents. Please share with us your views on school administration salaries vis-a-vis teacher salaries. And I think it's Greg's turn to start.
Being an administrator and being paid out of that and talking about that. I think we need to have teachers being paid at the highest rate possible. This is a very difficult area. The Peninsula has high standard of living, and we need to have teacher wages to be as high as possible to be able to get the best talent. I think that is got to be a priority for our district. And when you look at salaries, $275, I'm going to be honest, I'm being on the Burlingame School Board, $275 for a district that's a union district is not a very high amount. I think it's probably right on target, and I think they found a good person to come in. Dr. Scully, is it Dr. Scully or Mr. Scully? Doctor. So Dr. Scully came from Palo Alto, had some experience in Mountain View. I think that's a great person to bring into the district. I think he'll have some innovation to bring into it, and I already saw that he has some goals set out that he was going to bring out and talk about, and I think he's on the right path. So I think we have to get the brightest and best, not only in administration, but also in teaching, and I think it needs to be both, not just one area.
No disagreement with what Greg said. We pay our teachers among the best in the state, and they deserve it. They work hard. This is a very expensive place to live. And, and as well as we pay them, it's very hard for new teachers especially to live in the community, and we want them to live in the community. As to Dr. Skelly's contract, as president, I was negotiated it, and I did something different than other school districts when they negotiated a superintendent contract. If you look at some of the others, there's all these sort of hidden things for like transportation, entertainment, and so forth. Dr. Skelly has none of that in his contract. So you see a salary in another district, and you have all these other things in there. Dr. Skelly just gets a straight salary. So I think that's much more, that's the transparency I believe in and the openness I believe in, and I would encourage others to do that.
All right, thank you. Those, having been a 30-year teacher in an adjoining district and comparing salaries over the years, I was biting my tongue about the cost of teaching salaries. Questions from the audience? Do we have anybody that would like to chime in? Yes. Okay, let me pose that question and come back for the second. All right, you have your continuation high school at Crestmore campus, way out of the way for reluctant students who find it difficult to get there. What are you going to do to relocate that in a more accessible way so that you capture some of those students that are not part of the regular program?
That's the spirit behind what I was trying to ask. Thank you.
Is that the follow-up?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good way
Okay,
to say it.
all right.
Who goes first?
We'll start with Mr. Friedman.
Okay, we're having a public meeting on this on September 24th, and we're going to show the proposal on our website on September 17th. And basically the proposal is we're hoping to lock up the facility just down the road here on Rollins that we're currently renting from the county for DTech, and they're moving in a year and a half to the Oracle campus. And we think that would be an excellent location, and the county currently controls it, but has no use for that, and that's what will be in the proposal. And then with Crestmore, our idea is, since we will get everything out there, and we have talked to the city of San Bruno already and some community people, and we want to start a discussion about Crestmore possibly being, except for the athletic fields, the other 30 acres, being a location for affordable housing for teachers and staff and employees of municipalities in the community. So that is our goal. That is what our proposals that we're going to put out in the next 2 weeks.
All right, Mr.
So
Lamb.
this isn't going to be on the web till that
Great.
goes out.
So,
Okay.
Gene, I think you brought up a good point about location being very critical. I think there's two parts of that. One is I want to make sure, and if I was on the board, I would want to make sure that we negotiate, talk with the communities and get their input, because I think that has been a controversial issue in the past. I think what Mr. Friedman is talking about is a great alternative that kind of ties in two major points. One, it's the continuation school is not too close, connected to other high schools around the area, but yet a reachable, and so that people can come, and that it isn't a transportation issue problem for them to be there. So it's a more centralized location. So I think it has two parts to that location question.
You have a second question?
Yeah, my second question is, it's a little more general, but I'm really concerned about the impact of the housing crisis on your students. I mean, do you care to comment if you've seen any effects on the housing crisis and the cost of living around here with students, particularly maybe with children from lower income families?
The question deals with any visible effects in the school district with the high cost of housing affecting particularly the lower income students in the district, and any observation about that and any perhaps potential solutions for that?
So I'm going to talk from the Burlingame perspective and then the larger San Mateo area perspective. We have still had an increase in our enrollment over the last few years, so that has not decreased overall in Burlingame, and we still had the similar percentages of free and reduced lunch, so that really hasn't had a factor yet. I think in the next few years it might be a factor. I think people are really concerned about it, especially with all the rent, the rents moving up. I think there's definitely going to be a shift over time where what's going to happen is there's going to be smaller percentages of free and reduced lunch and at-risk students in the area, at least in Burlingame. In the larger area, I think in San Mateo, we are also increasing in enrollment. That it is not a decline in enrollment yet, and but I think I think the housing crisis is something that needs to get addressed on a city-wide, county-wide level, but the absolute effect of within the districts, both Burlingame and the San Mateo Union High School District, I don't see a big change in the last year or two.
Mr. Friedman?
I haven't heard of any specific issues related to, a lot of students being impacted by the housing crisis, but there's no doubt individual students impacted. It's a difficult crisis that goes well beyond, schools and so forth. I think as entities, we all need to work together to try to solve it. We're going to try to do something as it helps to help our teachers and staff who are also suffering from the housing crisis. For students who suffer, we have a lot of counseling in our schools. That's one of the good things about being a school that's well-funded. We're one of the best funded, thanks to our property taxes, schools in the state. And so we intervene when students have issues and work with them at their site. But I haven't done a survey to say, are we hearing more about that? But we're committed to having counseling for all sorts of emotional and social issues that our students might have, whether it's related to housing or other things along those lines. So I appreciate the question. Thank you.
All right, thank you for those answers. Now we're going to move. I'm sorry, we only have two questions for each. So the concluding portion of your forum will be for each one of you to have a 1-minute closing statement, and I'm going to start with Mr. Land for your closing statement. You have 1 minute.
Again, thank you for the opportunity. I think my motivation for running for the high school board is simple. I really would like to see the San Mateo Union High School District be the best that it can be. I think that being an educator all my life and being an administrator, I think I bring a unique perspective that the board does not currently have, and I'd like to see that being a part of the school district. Being an administrator, principal, educator, working with English language learners, working with, in Los Altos, some of the brightest and best students, I'd like to see us really designing our education to the edges, to really think about the extremes and the high end and advanced students, as well as the ones who are most at risk. And I think our district can benefit from a person on the school board who has that expertise and knowledge. The other part is community. I'd really like us to work with our communities and really build relationships that are long-lasting, things that we've done in Burlingame with our city liaison committees, and I'd like to see us do that as well in the larger area, in the larger community. And I hope for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Friedman?
Yes, I'm actually, right now, the junior member on the board. Our board has been there, a lot of people have been there a long time. I've only served, in effect, 1 term. And I think I still have the energy and looking at the new perspectives to help our district grow. We are in great shape. There's no doubt about it. I think we are an asset for the community. Just last week, I was at the City Council San Mateo, where they were honoring 2 of our schools for their Newsweek rankings. But we have more to do. We need to complete the implementation of Common Core. This will move our education forward more than anything else. And finally, we need to spend our capital dollars wisely and complete the few remaining projects. And so in conclusion, I hope you will continue to support me, and I'm also supporting my friend Greg Land as the other incumbent. We didn't talk about him, but he missed a lot of meetings the last 2 years, over 10.
All right, and with that, I want to thank both of you for taking the time to participate in this forum, and we wish you good luck in your upcoming race. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.